This week we hit a huge milestone. We just hit 100 million views on YouTube, and we just want to say thank you to all of you for all of your support, and we couldn't have done it without you guys.
From us to you, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Okay, so in the last week we have had over 2 feet of snow. Now it's 40 degrees. Well, at this moment, my excavator is sitting about halfway up the new Mountainside trail that I've been working on for the last couple of years, and I'm nearly finished. The majority of the trail has been cut in across the side of the mountain, and the elevation starts at about 5,500 feet and ends at the moment somewhere around 6,200 feet. And I've just about got the trail cut in to the very back of our property where I've been trying to get. Well, I wasn't sure if we were going to make it up here today, because it is just that cold and icy, but the ranger managed to get up the trail. Let's go get the excavator started. After getting the excavator oiled up, greased up, and ready to go for the day, I ran it out to the end of the trail where I stopped last time I had the excavator up here. Okay, so I'm trying to bring the trail right up here and on this little bald knob that I've referenced so many times. This overlooks our whole spread, and you can see the house down there. What I want to do is, like right here in this area right here, I want to have enough room to turn a side-by-side around so I can go up the other trail to get over to basically over past that tree. But it's dangerous up here. It's very dangerous up here. I'm gonna need to stack some boulders around it to kind of make a safe area. What I hope this area will turn into is a place where, like, middle of the summer, something like that, we have a bunch of friends over and have a big bonfire up here, something like that. But it has to be safe. I think that was one of the dogs. I can see my deer running around. Something's got them running around. Well, I can hear the dog. Cedar's gone. Ruby's on the back porch. And it's cold, it's too cold outside to let her sit out there, so I gotta stop everything I'm doing and go let that bloody dog into the house. It has taken a lot of effort to get the trail as far as I've gotten it, but now this is the critical part of the trail that I've been looking forward to cutting in literally for the last couple of years. Because of the elevation change on our property, I was really concerned that this particular point would be too hard to get to. And as of right now, there are still a couple of steep sections of the trail, but I don't think it's too steep to prevent people from using the trail. As the trail gets more and more developed, I'll make it a little bit wider, but now that I've gotten this far, it's time to cut in the last piece of this trail. There are lots of small mines around southeastern Idaho that are used primarily for agricultural, and one of the products that gets mined is called zeolite, and you'll see right here where I get down to the zeolite on our land. Okay, so in the last week we have had over 2 feet of snow. Now it's 40 degrees. It's beautiful outside, but all of the snow is so icy at the moment that it's causing problems for everybody. But my excavator is still sitting up there from the last time that I used it. The last time that I used it, I finished the main part of the trail, and I'm ready to start the final switchback over to this infamous point that I've been trying to get to forever. The issue is I'm not sure if my four-wheeler is going to get up there because of all the snow, and because even last night we got rain. Cheyenne sent a video over this morning from her doorbell, I think, of what she said was the loudest lightning she'd ever heard. Last night, about midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, I was woken up by the same lightning and thunder. Very first thing I thought about was my excavator sitting way up on the side of the mountain. And I'm just thinking to myself, if that thing gets struck by lightning, it's not going to be good for it, that's for sure. So step one is we're going to go see how far the four-wheeler is going to get up there. Not going to be fun. Now that I've made it up here to the excavator and got it started, I need to clean the trail up back down to where my four-wheeler's sitting, so the next time I need to get up here I don't have to work so hard. It's been about a week since I had the excavator up here, and in that time we've had over 2 feet of snow. I got the trail open now with the excavator, although when I got literally right here with the excavator, a pulley on the engine that I knew was bad, and so I ordered a new one. I had a new pulley sitting down there on my workbench, but I didn't think it was that bad, but it threw the belt off right here, but I was close enough. I ran down to the house, picked up the new part. I filled up the excavator with diesel. I just greased everything. We're good to go. So now I'm gonna work my way all the way back up the top, and we're gonna start cutting in this new trail. This back little spot in our property, I've never been back up in here. I see it with the drone all the time, and it kind of fascinates me because there's some trees growing back in there that don't grow anywhere else. And then I'm also curious to get around to that other point. In the nearly 9 years that we've owned our property, I've been back there probably a dozen times. So it's hard to get to because it's on the side of a mountain, and this trail makes it much more accessible. Part of the reason this has taken me so long is I've used my drone just to figure out the safest way to do this. I didn't think that on our property, which we have an elevation change of 5,500 feet to 6,700 feet, the very top of our property, and I didn't think I would be able to make a trail on our property that's safe enough to get access to all of these places. So this is exciting for me. We've gone through a lot of different pieces of equipment around here at Red Poppy Ranch, but I'll tell you the most important piece of equipment that I do have would be this excavator. On this particular ridge on our property, there's not a whole lot of topsoil, but there are a number of boulders right below the ground, and I have to be so careful that I don't let loose of one of those boulders and it takes off down the side of the mountain, because even the maple trees may not stop it. Oh yeah, and don't forget, with the rocks comes losing teeth on the bucket. Initially, I felt like having a four-wheel drive backhoe might be the single best tool to have around here at Red Poppy Ranch, but after using a backhoe for about a year, I figured out that there were places that I simply could not take a backhoe, that I could take an excavator. And then after going through a few different sized excavators, I've now found the excavator size that seems to be perfect for our needs. Well, we've gotten some snow since the excavator's been sitting up on the side of the mountain, and I need to get some fuel, my grease gun, and some hydraulic fluid up there just to be safe. The Ranger's not going to make it today, and I'm not even sure if the four-wheeler will either. So this is a place on my property where I want to come and dig out a little bit of a pond, just enough to hold some water for the deer and the elk. And there's a series of these spots that it wouldn't take a whole lot to slow the water drainage as it comes off the mountain. And if I was really smart, I'd figure out how to use that water to do things like water the orchard and a few other things. But this is clearly a spot I'm gonna revisit in the future. I would guess the number one thing that people say when they come and visit Red Poppy Ranch is they didn't realize how steep the property was. Regardless of where I put the cameras, it's just simply hard to show you how steep the mountainside is and how important it is that I get this trail cut in the right position. At this point in the trail, it isn't so much about gaining elevation as much as it's about making sure that wherever I'm at now matches up with where I'm trying to get to, and the elevation change between here and the new ridge where I'm trying to get to needs to be pretty even. Well, this is the tree line, and this is the place that I've been anxiously trying to get to for over 2 years now. And now that I've made it here, I need to get the drone out and fly it around a little bit and make sure the elevations are going to match up. So right now, according to my phone, it says we are at 6,120 feet in elevation. I believe the house is 5,500 feet. And the very top of the mountain, which is ultimately where I'm trying to get, is 6,700 feet. So even from right here, I'm 500 feet lower than the top of our mountain. So there's a Douglas fir that I'm aiming at. I've always kind of been keeping that in mind. And what's gonna happen is there's gonna be a horseshoe that curves around over to that Doug fir. And that will then give me access. There's a ridge right there, and it will give me access to the back of our property. And all over on our property, we have these spots where there's established wildlife trails that are probably used by the cows as well. But I see with my drone, whenever I fly my drone up here, there is a very, very well-established trail that probably the elk and the deer use. While I'm cutting this trail in, I want to take a few minutes at some point and scratch in a little bit of a retention pond for the elk and the deer. When the elk and the deer get pressured up on public land, they regularly come down the mountains onto private land, but they're always looking for water. And so I don't have any intention of hunting the animals, the wild animals around our property. I made that decision a long time ago. I would rather see the wildlife than hunt them. And therefore, this is part of the reason I want to have a giant orchard. This is part of the reason I want to have multiple retention ponds down the side of our mountain. So the other thing is I want to see what it does for the land, for the grass. If I can retain water and slow down the pace at which it comes off this mountain, what's that going to do for the land? What's that going to do for the trees, the grasses, all of that stuff? So anyway, I'll get out here tomorrow and we'll get back on this. I'm going to save the rest of this video for next week. So I don't rush this. I want to get the drone and get the, I need to shoot some elevations and make sure that using my phone, make sure that I don't have to go downhill. That's the last thing I want, is to drop down to that point. So anyway, we will see you guys soon. Thank you guys for taking time to stop by and check on us, and again, thank you for 100 million views. I'm going to keep working on this trail, and we will see you soon with an update.